Hey, what's up guys? Thank you for joining. Today I want to talk about ways to visualize triads on the fretboard. So in that opening intro, you heard me play over a standard 1-6-4-5 progression. Cheesy as anything, I know, but it's a great tool to help demonstrate how you can play over these chord changes. Even though they're diatonic, they're all in one key, you could play the C major scale over the whole thing, but it still not sound great. So I was using purely C major, notes from the C major scale, but I was able to outline the chord changes as they came along, and I visualized these triads. That's how I'm able to do that. I'm not thinking about scale shapes, I'm thinking about the chords that are happening underneath, even though we're playing in one key. I'm going to show you a few different ways to practice this, and if you're watching this and haven't looked at my other video on it's a meter song called Here Comes the Meter Man, there's some great little triads in that, and it's just a fun little song to play and get your fingers around these small 3-note voicings. So check that out after you watch this video. It's great fun and you can play along straight away, and it'll be another tool to help you visualize those little triads or 3-note voicings, which is great for that style. So now we're talking purely about like a soloing aspect, and I still visualize the fretboard with these triads. So I'm going to show you how I do that, and then we'll jump into things that I'm thinking about when I'm soloing at the end. So the CAGED system is a good way to explain and get some new voicings under your fingers, and also a way of visualizing the fretboard. So let me explain that. The CAGED system is spelling out the word caged, C-A-G-E-D, in shapes. Let's stick to C major. We're playing one chord, C major, and we're going to spell out those shapes across the fretboard. Now, before we do, you need to know those open chords. So it's C, A, G, E, D. That's sort of step one. Let's bring it across the fretboard horizontally. So we've got the C shape, we've got the A shape, I play it like this, right? We've got the G shape, we've got the E shape, and we've got the D shape. Now that in itself isn't much use. However, I like to break it down into 3 strings at a time, because that's all we really need. And that the other video that I did on that meters song is a great testament to that. It's killer voicings. We leave the root note generally to the bass player, and this is just a good way to break it down and visualize the fretboard. So we're playing still C major, but I'm going to break it down into the top 3 strings. So that's the C shape, the A shape, the G shape, which I don't really use that much, the E shape, and the D shape. So it spells out the word caged. Then what I would do is bring it to the next 3 strings. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the C shape, thinking the A shape. Then if I was to do the G shape, it's kind of the same thing, I guess they overlap in that way. And then I'm thinking the E shape, and then we're sort of back at the C shape, which is kind of an overlap of the D shape. Hey, what's up guys? Sorry to interrupt this video. I just want to say I have started a Patreon page. Halfway through editing this video, I realized the solo is actually pretty interesting, and I figured I would write it all out. And I want to start doing that for my weekly videos that I post. So you guys have been asking about tabs and notations, so I'm here to I'm here to please the crowd. So if you subscribe to my Patreon, it's linked in the description below. You'll have access to the tabs that I put up every week for my videos, as well as some backing tracks that I'll make. The next one that's available is a cool sort of bluesy Bonamassa thing, which I teach you some licks, and there'll be a tab available as well as the backing track that I've created, which is really, really fun to play along. So if that interests you, sign up. If not, enjoy the rest of the video. See you guys. Thank you. And then I would do it on the next 3 strings. Right, and then the next 3 strings, there's our G shape. So then we might do A minor. Now I do want to just simplify this. So another way to think of it is building a voicing off of each one of the notes in the chord. So in terms of A minor, we've got 3 notes. It's a triad, right? So we got A, C, and E. So A, C, and E. There's our first 3-note group. And then the next note we would build the shape from, or the voicing from, is C. So we've got C, E, and A. Now that comes down to, what shape is this? That's the A shape, and this is the E shape. Notice we missed the G shape, it's useless. And then we've got the D shape, which in this case looks like a D minor chord, but I'm building it from the 5th of the chord this time. So E, A, and the minor 3rd on top, which is C. So I've got 3 nice little voicings for A minor there. And then we're sort of back at the start. So that's another way to think of it if the CAGED system doesn't work for you. That's kind of the way that I think about it in terms of building each voicing off of one of the notes in the chord and just stacking it that way. I guess it's sort of a more theoretical way. I feel like you need to know a little bit more about the fretboard and the chord tones and the notes on the guitar. It does take time, guys. This stuff doesn't come overnight. You've got to consistently practice it. I've just done it over the years so much that it's ingrained in my my visualization system, you know. So I would go through A minor all across the fretboard in those 3 string sets. Right, so then we'd go the D, G, and B strings, etc. And then we'd go the A, D, and G strings. So I've got the minor 3rd, which is C, the 5th, which is E, and then the A note, which is the root note. Then I'm building it from the 5th of the chord, and then I'm building it from the root note. Right, and then you might want to do the low E, A, and D strings. You could probably start from the A note. So these might not be that useful, but it's important to have that whole picture. You know, like if you're just going to work stuff from the top 3 strings, you're sort of only painting half the picture for yourself. So really spend the time and work through all string sets. That's how I would like to do it. So then you would do that with all of the chords in the chord progression. And again, this is a very lengthy process. It takes time. Stick with it. Maybe for the first week, you might just work on the C chord. You know, and then the next week you might do the minor chord. The good thing is that when you shift it to the key of G, all the shapes are the same. You've just got to shift your mind into what key or what chord you're playing over. That is what I find most people struggle with. It's just flipping that switch into, oh, we're playing over a G chord. These are all my G 3-note voicings, my G triads. Oh, we're playing over F. Now we're back to C. And that can be really tricky. However, spend the time with it. What I would then do is take 2 chords. Let's do C and G, right? Let's do the A shape on the top 3 strings. Now I am saying the CAGED system because it does make sense to a lot of people. However, if that doesn't work, I'm playing from C and I'm doing the root note, the 3rd, and the 5th. Now what I want to do is I want to move to the closest G chord possible. It's this one. It's the E shape if you are CAGED inclined. So we're going C, and we're going G, right? Then we might do it in the next location, C, and then G. Do it in the next location, C, and then G. So C and G. Then you would do it on the next string set. So C, G, C, G, C, G, right? C, G. So it's starting to sound a little bit more musical, right? Rather than going. Then what you might do C, F, G. Check this out. So C, F, and then G. C, F, G. Move it up to the next spot. C, F, G. It's like twist and shout. Same thing up here. C, F, G. C, F, and G. Now you notice how fast I am at it. Like I wish you could see in my brain how I'm visualizing everything. I've just done it so many times. You know, you talk about the 10,000 hours. I've spent a lot of time visualizing different keys. I can do it in any key, and that's the idea. C, in my opinion, is the easiest to demonstrate, mainly because of the CAGED system, and that's where we started. But try it in different keys. You know, let's choose a random key. Let's do B flat. So 1, 4, 5 and B flat. We got B flat, E flat, and F. So do B flat, E flat, and then F. You know what I mean? B flat, E flat, F. So hopefully this is making sense, guys. And then what I would do, the next step is to do that whole chord progression that you're playing over the top of. So in the case of the backing track that I stole from YouTube, which I'll link below, it's C, A minor, F, and G. So I would do that. C, A minor, F, G. C, A minor, F, G. C, A minor, F, G. Right? So then you can start to build your lines that way. C, A minor, F, G. So it becomes really quite easy to create lines that follow the chord progression. That's what I'm visualizing, those triads. So then you can maybe include more of a scalar approach, and this is where we start to think about playing a little bit more melodically, I think. So the idea is that we're landing on chord tones of each chord when they happen. I'm going to make it really obvious, and I'm going to yell out the chord tone that I land on. So for the C chord, I'm going to play it 4 beats each. So we've got C. There's the root note of A minor, there's the third of F, and there's the third of G, right? So you can hear the chords in that line. So that can be a nice approach and sort of is that sugar on top. The intro that I played to sort of blended those ideas as well as trying to make it really obvious in terms of what I was doing with the triads and how I'm visualizing it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate the subscribing and the liking and the commenting. I don't ask anything from you, so it's really, really awesome to see that happening naturally. And it's really, really great to hear some nice words said about the things that I'm showing everyone. See you on the next one. Cheers.